Hi guys, on this week's video we've been showing you how we fitted the diesel heater.
So yeah, we're going to show you where it is, why we've decided to do it like we have, and a little bit later on in the week I've got like a full sort of how we've done it, but for this one we just wanted to give you like a build update. So at the end of the video we've also got some of the other stuff that we've been up to.
Dad fixed up this box and he fixed up the cab.
So without further ado, let's get on with this week's video.
Drop your thoughts and questions below, guys.
Thanks for liking and subscribe.
Enjoy!
Enjoy.
Here I am kneeling down in my murder bus. So we've got this plastic up at the moment because we've got some welding going on at the front and we didn't want all the dust to go in. But I digress. I'm knelt down by my diesel heater tank. I'm going to show you basically from where the fuel runs from and to and how we've set that up. So in here I've installed into my diesel tank a dip. So this came with my kit. I needed to use an 18mm drill bit, so I bought a nice cheap £6 drill bit from Amazon that's made for ironmongery, and I've used that loads actually, so I'll put a link below. Pop that in there, sealed it up, and away you go. Then what I've done here is upgraded this short run hose to some fuel hose that runs this very short run down to here. And in here, this is where I have my fuel pump set up. And we've done this in a slightly different way, and this is how it sounds running. But yeah, just returning back down here. So it runs down through to an upgraded fuel filter. So the one that comes with it is not all that good, wouldn't recommend it. And then I've wrapped it in some pipe insulation. So this is obviously made to go around hot pipes, so there's not going to be any problem here. Now a lot of people complain about it being noisy and hang it off of zip ties, hang the pump off of zip ties. Ironically move that one out of the way. What I've decided to use is this rigid hose. So it's flexible enough to absorb the vibration of the pump, but rigid enough so I can ensure that the angle of the pump remains correct. I don't know how I would have done that if it was hanging off of zip ties, so I've decided to do it this way. Then what we have is the fuel hose, which again I upgraded to nylon fuel hose that runs inside here. You can't see it, but in the other longer video you can. It runs all the way along the bus, and I had to extend the wiring for this because the wiring that comes is not long enough for a 5 meter long sort of stretch that I've got. So this runs along here, along the rail of the bus, and up to where the heater is. This is the business end of where our heater sits, and we decided to put it under the floor. The first thing I had to have done is have these 3 pieces of box section welded in. So I mocked that up in a previous video with clamps, drilled it through, and then Luke tack welded it in and then finally welded it in place for us. So it's lovely and strong. The box itself came from a metalworking company. I'll leave the link down below, that make boxes for both 2 kilowatt and 5 kilowatt heaters. Now our heater's a 5 kilowatt heater, which is more than enough to heat the space that we have. So our bus is quite large. You know, the living space is 5 meters long, and then we have the cab to heat. So we went for the larger heater. A lot of people say the 2 kilowatt heater probably would have done it, but we've gone for a bigger one basically. It wasn't any more money, so we thought give it a go. Make sure we're nice and toasty. So yeah, that's what we went for, and we installed it in this box. So the box itself came prefabricated. Again, in the longer video I do a bit more of a review on that, but there's not much more to say. I've underslung it here. Let me just show you. So it has an access hatch on the side here with these 6 bolts here that are put in with riv nuts. That's how I got the diesel heater in the box, and that's how I will take it out again should I need to access it for servicing, or if I need to, hopefully not, if I need to ever replace it in the future. So that's where it's hung in there. The inlet for it will come up here into the bus itself. So I'm planning to put it on the front face of our bed to draw in the colder air from within the bus into the heater. And the warm air, so we have mounted it back to front for a reason. The warm air comes through this pipe here. At the moment it's facing down because I'm going to put the floor back in eventually. Maybe, who knows. Come on. So then the warm air will come up through this pipe into the floor, and then I've wrapped it in this fleece-like material. So I bought the proper stuff, but in hindsight, if you can get hold of any sort of thinsulate type material, or even that like cheaper space blanket stuff that you can get, I think that will work just fine. I decided to wrap it in this, so it's zip tied around here at the moment, and once the floor is in and pulled through, I'll zip tie it around the bottom too, just to make sure any hot air that does come out of here remains hot and comes into the vehicle. Also, I kind of thought, well, this will protect it a little bit from stones and whatnot being thrown up at it. And the third reason, so these pipes apparently can get up to sort of 80, 90, 100 degrees coming out of here. And this claims to reduce that down to around 25 to 30 degrees, which, you know, is much better for anything that's surrounding it, like this air tank or the underneath of the floor. I don't think it would have caused a problem, but I know damn sure that it won't now, because this is wrapped up and will keep all the heat hopefully coming up into the vehicle. Okay, so the business end, where all the hot gases come out, I upgraded the clips that came with it to some nice mikalor clips, just to make sure that those exhaust gases go out of the exhaust. And then what I've done here, this green stuff is called exhaust wrap. I bought that from Amazon. It was about 10-12 quid. Wrapped it all around there just to make sure that all of the heat that's coming out of the exhaust is passed down through and out of the exhaust rather than being passed into the body of the vehicle. What I found actually is once that's been running for around 40 minutes, an hour, so you know, probably as hot as it's going to get, the outer skin of the vehicle, which there is a gap to it there, you can see that it's, you know, a big enough gap, gets sort of warm to the touch, but no more than that. I can put my bare hand in there with no fear. So that was the idea of that. Little tip with this stuff though, so I did find when you first start it up, it does smoke, and I was like, oh no, it's leaking, but not the case. So when you first use this exhaust wrap, it does smoke. That is just part of the install process, but that stops pretty quickly. Down here is my silencer. So the silencer did come in the kit, and then I just made a little bracket to attach it to the skirt. And again, I've used a mikalor clip there to make sure that it's nice and tight. What I'm going to do actually in the future is run another short run of exhaust to the back and then out the side of the vehicle using, you know, some sort of little adapter. So, you know, if you've got any offcuts of exhaust that you want to send me, let me know. I'd really appreciate it. I don't mind paying postage. The air in for our heater comes in and along here, and I've hidden it underneath and behind this rail on purpose, just to keep it shielded from any muck, dirt and debris that might be flung up under the vehicle. There's plenty of space under there to let the air in, but that will just keep the air nice and clean. So yeah, pretty happy with the box and how it's installed. You know, will save us space within the vehicle, I think. Happy days. I know what you're thinking. So it's installed, but does it run? Yes, it does, and this is how it sounds. That's it now. Just done a little test start up just to make sure it's really airtight. Oh, I just fell through the bus. So yeah, pretty pleased with how that is set up and running. I think it should keep us nice and toasty and warm. Later in the week, I am going to post a longer video of how I installed the fuel pump, how I made it quieter, and just in much more detail. But like I said, wanted to provide you some updates on the build. And we're going to move next on to how we have spruced up the cab floor, which you can see behind me. Oh, so today I'm going to pop the driver's seat back in. But before I do that, I'm just going to make sure that all the holes are sealed up that are underneath that shouldn't be open. And I'm going to put down a little bit of sound deadening, and I'm going to cover over where the cables come out for the auxiliary fuse box so it doesn't get pinched by the seat base. I'm just going to show you that stuff. So this is the chassis paint that's gone down. Remember before this was all rusty, cleaned it all back, treated it, undercoated it, and now it's been painted, so it should last for many more years hopefully. Same with the step down here, which is looking much better. That rust patch was over here has all been treated and dealt with. What I've got here is a bit of sound deadening mat, some closed cell foam, and some T-Rex tape. I'm going to be using that to secure down this cable here, which is the auxiliary fuse box. It runs all over into there, over there. Just going to use a little bit of this underneath the seat base. Use the tape to secure this down, and then get this base back in. One less thing to do, and then I'm hoping to be able to get the batteries back in the bus and see if she'll fire up for today. So I haven't covered, I've probably put too much on to be honest, but you'll see some builds where they absolutely cover every area. I've been careful to leave these channels empty so water can drain away should it enter the cab. And I'm just using this roller here to make sure it's properly adhered. It's going to be under the seat base. That's going to compress that down anyway. You can use, if it's a particularly cold day, you can use like a heat gun on a low setting to just make it a little bit more malleable. Sorry about the tractor, but as you can see it's adhering pretty well. And this is what it does. So over here we've got an untreated panel, quite dense actually already, but not fully. So it's still quite dense, but you can hear a little bit of a ring. And then over here, just takes that resonance out of the panel. So what I'm going to do now is tape down this cable, run a little bit of this foam over it to stop it pinching, and then we'll be ready to go. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Whilst I was doing the install, I also popped in this little voltage meter, which showed me the state of my batteries at a push of a button. And that brings us to the end of this week's video.
On next week's video, we'll be showing you how we fitted the gas tank.
So yeah, we've also got a more in-depth video coming out of how we did the diesel heater install. And next week, I'm going to show you all of that good stuff around the gas tank. So thanks for watching. Thanks for all of our new subscribers. It really means a lot. And thank you for commenting. It's really motivating to hear all your thoughts and ideas. You know, we're learning as we're going along, so we find it really valuable.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
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 You need to do a better bye than that.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
You need to do it all together.
1, 2, 3.
Bye. That's it. Actually, if you're still here, someone pointed out that this guy from Nick Frost's latest series on Amazon looks a bit like this guy. So if you stuck around this long, thanks for watching. Bye.